everyone, I'm Eric at Doinker Stabilizers, and in this video I'd like to talk to you about our very popular Fatty and Fatty Elite Series stabilizers. The Fatty was a product that we came out with, I want to say in around 2001-2002 and discontinued it in 2005. Back then people were saying that it was too stiff and they were getting too much feedback out of their bow, so we decided to discontinue it for that reason, and also it was kind of heavy and really ugly. So in 2010 we redesigned the Fatty line of stabilizers, gave it a facelift, went with a nice carbon grid, and we also changed from our conventional style Doinker to our fully adjustable Doinker Supreme in 2010. What this did was this allowed the archer to stack on a ton of weight without the tip of the Doinker flexing. Some people thought that it would potentially throw their shot off when you were holding that much weight, and so we've gone to the fully adjustable system. It's a pretty basic stabilizer. Really, its biggest feature is its strength. It is a super stiff stabilizer, and even for the mass that it looks like it has, it's virtually pretty light. We have it in a few different options. Obviously you'll be able to get it in silver or black, whatever you choose. It comes standard silver, so the black might be a special order from your local pro shop. But the lengths we have the standard Fatty in would be our FDS 22, which is 22 3/4 inches long at 5.9 ounces. That would be this one right here. Then we have the FDS 27. That's 27-inch stabilizer at 6.4 ounces. That would be this one right here. Then we have the FDS 30 at 30 inches and 6.8 ounces, and that would be this. And then we have the FDS 33 at 33.5 inches at 7.2 ounces. That would be this one. Our most common length sold stabilizer throughout the world is actually the 30-inch stabilizer. It seems to be a really good all-around stabilizer for indoor, for outdoor. A lot of people put on a 12-inch sidebar on there, and it just seems to be a good solid choice for just about anybody. If you're going to be shooting a lot of indoor, you might want to bump it up to the 33.5 inch. It puts the weight out a little bit farther, which is leverage kind of kicks in, and so you can actually shoot that stabilizer with a little bit less mass weight than you would with the shorter stabilizer. We're talking maybe about an ounce or two. What we have for matching sidebars is we have the FDS B10, which is actually 10.5 inches at 4.2 ounces. And then we have and that's this one right here. Then we have the FDS B12 at 12.5 inches and 4.6 ounces. And then we have the FDS B15 at 15.5 inches, 4.9 ounces. So this would be your 15, this would be your 12, and this would be your 10. You can kind of see the size comparison between the two. Big difference. There are a lot of people that feel that a 15 just gives them a little bit more leverage. They can use a little bit less mass weight than they would with, say, like a 10-inch. Now what we'll talk about is bumping it up. We talked about in a previous video our Elite series and all the fundamentals behind what made the Elite a special, unique stabilizer. Well, what we've done is we've taken what everybody really liked in the Fatty line and we've combined it with our Elite series stabilizers. So what we have, as you can see here, is it's basically just a Fatty stabilizer, but then we add the suppression mount to it. And adding the suppression mount to it makes an Elite stabilizer. And if you didn't see the previous videos, what's unique about the Elite is the Elite, inside the suppression mount, the machined aluminum housing, there is a steel rod, okay? And at either ends, there is basically Doinkers suspending it. So what you get, what it does is upon the release of your arrow, that residual vibration has an exit point being the stabilizer, and the first contact it makes is actually with that suppression mount. So this is going to eliminate a tremendous amount of vibration. Anything left over from that is going to travel down the carbon rod and then go to its second exit point, which is the Doinker Supreme at the end. For someone that's shooting maybe a lightweight bow that's shooting a lot of poundage, has a nice long draw length, and using a really light arrow, you might feel a little bit more vibration in your bow than someone that actually is using a really heavy mass weight bow and maybe shooting a shorter draw length in that under 28-inch range and using a heavy arrow. So for those people, this stabilizer might not be ideal for them. We're talking about someone that wants to hold a lot of weight and yet wants to take out a lot of vibration, because it might be a concern of theirs. The sidebar that we have with it is the same thing that comes with that standard line of fatty stabilizers. We feel you don't really need the suppression mount on your sidebar. So what we have to offer for the Elite Fatty line in terms of lengths is we have the FDS 27. And the FDS 27, I believe, is actually this one right here. And the true length on that one is, in effect, 27 inches at 10.3 ounces. And then we have, I'm sorry, it wasn't the FDF 27, that was the EFDF 27. Then we bump it up to a few inches to the EFDE, the EFDF 31 at 31.5 inches and 10.4 ounces. And that would in effect be this one right here. And then we bump it up to the EFDF 34 at 34.5 inches at 10.7 ounces. That would be this one right here. And then for the big boy, it's the EFDF 37 at 37.5 inches and 11.5 ounces. We found that a lot of people for indoors really like that 37-inch Elite Fatty. Just really allows them to get a lot of leverage on that mass weight at the distal end of their stabilizer and allows them to really hold steady. For some of the extreme reflex geometry bows, parallel limbs, longer stabilizer like that, we found that it kind of works against you. So a shorter stabilizer, like on this G5 bow, I would actually go with something around the 27, maybe pushing 30 inches on that, but wouldn't get too much drastic, beyond that point, with probably like a 12-inch sidebar. The cool thing about the 1-inch Doinker Supreme, like on all the other Doinker Supremes, is you can actually change this out to use some of our other Doinker technologies. The main one being the Gen 5 Doinker conversion. What you can do is you can disassemble the inner workings of this 1-inch large Doinker Supreme, and what you would do is you would replace the screw that's in there with the longer screw that comes with that Gen 5 conversion kit. Then you'd reassemble everything, and what you would have is you would have a stabilizer at the end, whether it be the Fatty or the Fatty Elite, that can absorb even more vibration. This is really good for the archer that is using like 10 ounces or under on their front stabilizer and really wants to get rid of some of that residual vibration. If you're going to be shooting over 10 ounces, we really recommend that you just stick with our ITP Doinker washers that come standard with the setup, as it'll hold more weight without giving you any issues of maybe too much flex or anything. Anyway, I hope I've kind of gone over everything enough for you, so that way you can understand the true potential of the Fatty and the Fatty Elite series. Thanks for watching the video. We'll see you soon, and doink on.